my goodness. Not bad. My voice was shot on Friday. Kind of still is. We're going to take it easy tonight. Dynasty. What'd you guys think, man? Was it long enough for you? 5 hours, chat. 5 hours. Felt like 10. Nothing really of any substance. We got some great pro wrestling, though. On a Sunday night, people on the East Coast got to be up for work. The only thing of note here is that our champion, and still, MJF, beats Kenny Omega. I don't like what I'm hearing coming out of this. I don't. We're going to talk about it. It's going to be the big topic tonight. The venue's open late. I'm not really feeling 100%, and I've had more tea with honey than I really care to admit. It's going to be one of those evenings where I need a hot beverage. No matter what, man, as long as it's hot, cold, you got one in front of you on this Sunday night. Because when I get to the venue, I want to know, what the fuck are you guys drinking? I'll see you over there. This isn't about errors. It also isn't about excuses. WWE has failed creatively. AEW has failed fundamentally. So why did Triple H lose the plot? Why did Tony Khan abandon everything that made AEW special? Because nobody is committed to the one thing that actually matters: long-term booking. What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. This is your AEW Dynasty 2026 post-show for your Monday, April 13th, 2026. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, coming to you live from the OTS venue inside my mother's basement. Thank you guys so very much for joining me on this Monday morning, wherever you may be. Obviously, you see that I'm flying solo tonight. I may be one of the only lunatics covering this show, being that we had to sit through 5 hours of it. Jesse did not watch the show. Jesse refused to watch the show, and Jesse did not want to sit on here with me for 3 hours covering a 5-hour show. So he opted to take the night off. I don't blame him. I wished him well in his nightly endeavors. You know, I know this caters to a sicko fan base. I know this caters to the New Japan marks, the smelly geeks out there who live and die and bleed and breathe nothing but pro wrestling and have absolutely no other hobbies outside of professional wrestling. I love great pro wrestling. I do. AEW has some great pro wrestling. What I do think AEW needs to do is give us slightly less pro wrestling, because the pro wrestling that we get is already great, especially on a pay-per-view. Again, it's subjective. You don't like the massive amount of kickouts. You don't like the syringes and the blood and the tables and the false finishes 16 times a match. I get it. I get it. Still, underneath all that, there's some great pro wrestling. AEW would benefit if they actually give us slightly less pro wrestling. What I mean by that is, these shows are 5 hours long. Tony Khan operates old school. He gives us a 1 hour, 0 hour, which is their version of a pre-show. Now, you don't have to watch it. None of us have to watch it. You could just tune in at 8 o'clock when the show starts. He does it as a way to get some people who might not be on the actual show some TV time, get them in front of a live audience. It's fine. When these shows go on at 8 o'clock, and they end at 12:30. It's a little exhausting. They did it again. By the time we get to about 11 o'clock, 11:15, I'm looking at my iPhone, and I'm like, all right, Kenny Omega and MJF are going to come on next, and they're going to dominate the entire night, steal the show. The one match I'm looking forward to. And then all of a sudden, I see Orange Cassidy sitting on a couch, answering the doorbell, and behind the door to the Conglomeration Clubhouse is Kyle O'Reilly. And I'm slightly agitated at that point and pulling whatever remaining hairs that exist in my head out of my head. Then we get Kenny Omega and MJF, and the show don't go off the air till 12:30. Slightly less pro wrestling, chat, slightly. What I mean by that is, if Tony Khan actually cut this show out by an hour, if he made it 3.5 hours instead of 4.5, or 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes instead of 4.5 hours, the actual show itself would be better at 3.5 hours, 3 hours and 45 minutes, than it would be at 4.5 hours. That's just the way that I see it. You know what else would also help? If outside of MJF and Kenny Omega and the World Championship title picture, which is the best it's ever been so far in all 7 years in AEW, it would also aid if Tony Khan actually told some substantial, solid, emotional stories on the weekly television that you, me, and everybody else watching, whoever else is left watching on a weekly basis, some solid stories that we could invest in, care in. They refuse to do that. Most of the matches on this show barely had any story. And if there is a story, It's not anything overly exciting or interesting or something that you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and talk to your coworker about. Do you know what I hate? These people on social media are so blinded by, oh man, it's great pro wrestling. If you don't like AEW, man, there's something wrong with you. I like AEW. I want to like AEW more. I wish that they would do the right thing and get me invested as a fan. Why is there only a small section of people on this active roster that care about telling stories, and the rest of them just want to drop each other on their fucking skull? That's what I want to know. Bro, up and down this card, I'm looking for something to care about. Trios tag team match, don't care. A tag team match with the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada, and Konosuke Takeshita. Granted, it was a great match. Again, I don't really care. What is there to actually care about? Takeshita and Okada have been feuding. They've been feuding for how long now? Takeshita wants Okada's international championship. If they won that match tonight against the Young Bucks, we'd be getting that at Double or Nothing. Takeshita opted to say, fuck it, I don't want the match. We're going to lose this tag team match. Now, I'm hoping that he gets kicked out of the group for what he did tonight because he's obviously defied Don Callis. But again, the match was made on Wednesday. The match was legitimately made on Wednesday. 3 days ago. 4 days ago. Only made to get the Young Bucks on the show. Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. Bro, you could not pay me to care about anything the Death Riders are doing. Call me when Will Ospreay wins the Owen and gets MJF at Wembley. That's all I care about. We got a Casino Gauntlet match for the vacant TNT title, being that Kyle Fletcher's going to be out 7 to 8 months. How many Casino Gauntlet matches can you genuinely say you care about, chat? I think it's time to put the Casino Gauntlet match to bed, or at least retire it, where it's only happening one time a year at All In. Every time something's vacant, every time something needs to spark some interest or excitement, let's run to the Casino Gauntlet match. The more times you do it, the less it's going to mean something. Thekla, Jesse, Thekla. She went one-on-one with Jamie Hayter. Outside of Thekla attacking Jamie Hayter when she first debuted in the company a year and a half ago, I'm not sure why I care. A lot of this show, chat, honestly meant nothing. FTR, surprisingly, FTR retained the tag team championships against Christian and Cope in Canada. I don't know what they're planning there. I'm still sticking to the prediction that I made that we're going to get a trios ladder match between all three of these teams vying for the tag team championships because Tony Khan wants to so desperately create what the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys did with their ladder match and the history around what that means to everybody as far as the tag team ladder match is concerned. It's exactly where he's going with that. Which was why Cope and Christian could not win the tag team titles tonight. I'm not going to keep you guys here too long. My voice is not 100% yet. A lot of yelling, a lot of ranting over Pat McAfee this past week, and I have a very busy week coming up. I got Monday Night Raw tomorrow with the post show. I got 2 shows on Tuesday, one with the coach, Jonathan Coachman, on Tuesday morning, and then Tuesday Night Titans with the Solid Monster on Tuesday night. Wednesday, I'm flying to Vegas, and then Thursday, I'm doing the play-by-play with Jason, Solid Monster, for House of Glory. And then WrestleMania. Flying back on Friday. SmackDown Go Home Show. WrestleMania Saturday. WrestleMania Sunday. Monday Night Raw. Raw after Mania on Monday. So I'm going to try and get you guys out of here in a very timely fashion. What I want to talk about is the main event. It's the only thing legitimately I cared about. The only thing I cared about. And if you see me reaching for my liquid death, it's because I want to keep my voice in check. And I need to keep myself hydrated. I want to talk about the main event. MJF is the best he's ever been right now. He looks the part. He looks fantastic. His promo work is top 2 in the business outside of CM Punk. Depending on who you like better, 1 or 2, it doesn't really matter. He could be number 1 and CM Punk could be number 2. And if you want to think that Punk is the best in the business, I'm not going to argue with you. He's the ace of the company. He's the face of the company. And when he inevitably leaves, the company's in deep shit. He is the guy. I've said it for 7 years. I've said it to him personally. He's the fucking guy. The match tonight with Kenny Omega, I said, was going to be the most important match of MJF's title run in 2026. Kenny Omega is coming back from a life-threatening situation, having diverticulitis. Kenny Omega was not operating at 100%. He wasn't 100% the last time they met, a couple of years ago. They met on Collision, when Collision was still actually a good show. This was the most important title match of MJF's run in 2026. It's the biggest name, the most credible name, an EVP, and someone who started the company, and someone who, in the AEW fans' eyes, is AEW's version of Roman Reigns. That's who Kenny Omega is to AEW. The AEW World title scene, arguably, in my opinion, it's the strongest that it's ever been. There's a lot of top guys gunning for the title. A lot of super talented fucking guys circling MJF like a pool of sharks for the AEW World title. I don't remember any other time at the same time there were so many top contenders at this level challenging or wanting the AEW World Championship. And they're not even at full strength yet. That's the unbelievable thing. They just got Will Ospreay back. They're still missing Jay White. They're still missing Samoa Joe. And Hangman's out, who can't challenge for the title anymore. Swerve is out. It's the strongest that it's been maybe in all 7 years of AEW. And that all is because of MJF. When you have a great champion, a heel champion, everybody else around that heel champion, when he plays his role perfectly, is automatically enhanced. Through promo, through story, and through actual in-ring. MJF wrestled Kenny Omega tonight. They went about 30 minutes. I did not really expect anything less. MJF is one of those guys that is showing you that he can wrestle anybody under any situation for any length of time. Want to go out there and go 6 seconds? He'll go and do what he's got to do. You want him to have a 15-minute straight up one-on-one time limit? Do it. 30 minutes, he'll do it. Hardcore, he'll do it. Iron Man, he'll do it. When MJF wants to put his talents to do something, he'll do it. No matter who it's against, under any situation, he'll do it. Kenny Omega, the story about Kenny Omega was the diverticulitis, getting back to championship form, and this may be his last opportunity to do going after the AEW World Championship. I thought the match was great. Easily the best thing on the show. The only criticism I have about the actual match is I wanted the match to be a little bit more old school. They obviously had an injury angle with the diverticulitis. They didn't really start selling the diverticulitis until halfway through. When Kenny started punishing himself and punishing MJF, then he started to sell the diverticulitis and the stomach issues. MJF was MJF. Typical MJF. Taking the cheap way out, escaping the ring, taking as much time as he wants, playing his heel role. I really wish they kind of focused on the diverticulitis and actually built an in-ring story where Kenny fought from behind only to make a comeback, and then they start going back and forth, and you don't know which way it's going to go. Instead, they went with the typical, let's go and do big move, big spot, big move, big spot, pinfall, kick out, near fall, near fall, near fall. I felt like, as far as a fan, what I expect from an in-ring aspect, an in-ring psychology, I felt like it was backwards. I felt like it could have been done better, which is surprising for MJF, who is a master of the old school. Kenny Omega's selling and Kenny Omega's facial expressions in certain aspects of the match. He looked tired. He looked old. He looked beaten. That stuff was great. And finally finding that one last glimmer of fight in him, and MJF is fucking as fresh as a daisy even 30 minutes into this thing. See, those are the key things that I pick up on. The referee spot being down at the end of the match where Bryce Remsburg got a V-trigger only for another referee to come on out. MJF with the referee, the original referee, down, goes for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, uses it to his advantage, and he eventually ends up getting the win. We'll break down how exactly he got there when we get to that particular match. But in the end, after some several minutes, big spots, big finishes, a big top rope, one-winged angel, MJF survives Kenny Omega. Now, he didn't win clean. We don't know if Kenny Omega is going to lobby for a championship rematch. We don't know if Kenny Omega is done. By all accounts, he is done. He failed. He knew what he was getting in the ring with MJF. MJF retained. But what I really want to talk about is what's circulating online. And this directly goes out to the parties involved. Darby Allin beat Andrade tonight in what I thought was a great match. I thought it was the second best match of the entire night. I enjoy a great pro wrestling match. There wasn't really much story there outside MJF paid the Don Callis family to take out Darby because MJF apparently doesn't want to wrestle Darby Allin. Andrade doesn't want anything to do with MJF's money. All he wants is the world championship. And it's nice to see Darby Allin in a situation where he's not a fucking crash test dummy. And he actually went out there and wrestled one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. Darby beat Andrade. If Darby beat Andrade tonight, no matter who won the world championship, MJF or Kenny Omega, he was calling his shot next. Darby, during the show, said that Dynamite is in Everett, Washington on Wednesday. Apparently, it's AEW Dynamite Spring Breakthrough. I don't know who's going to Everett, Washington for spring break, but Tony Khan is doing Spring Breakthrough on Wednesday in Everett, Washington. Darby Allin's calling a shot. Supposedly, it's not made official yet unless he's already talked about it at the post-show media scrum. Darby Allin will be challenging MJF for the AEW World Championship on Wednesday in Everett, Washington. Darby Allin has close ties to Everett, Washington, or Washington in general, being that it's his home state. I have been a very big proponent of MJF and what he means to AEW, being the guy, the top champion, the ace. The reason why AEW is slowly, they haven't fully turned the corner yet. The reason why AEW is slowly turning a corner. Now, they've dropped in ratings week over week over week the last 3 weeks. I think this past week they did 654,000. That's down from 750,000 that they did 3 weeks ago. They lost 100,000 plus people. To be fair, the recent television has been fucking terrible. Some of the most boring shows that Tony Khan has put on, maybe ever. So I'm not really surprised. But minus the last couple of weeks and the build for Dynasty, which was very weak, AEW is slowly turning a corner. The ratings are better than they were last year. The excitement in some of the things that they do is up more so than some of the things that they did last year. And they got MJF back at 100% and at the top as world champion. They didn't have him through the third and fourth quarter of last year. He came back at World's End. He took a sabbatical after All Out. AEW needs to ride MJF going into Wembley. They absolutely need to. Whether it's Omega, whether it's Osprey, whether it's Swerve, or a collection of guys in a multi-man match. MJF needs to be the champion going into Wembley. It's their biggest show of the year at the end of August. Not only does he deserve it, but the championship deserves it. The championship deserves to be defended. The championship deserves a great reign. It's been held in a fucking briefcase before Samoa Joe took it from Hangman, and Hangman took it from Moxley at last year's All In. We haven't had a really great AEW champion in a very long time. Jon Moxley's reign was one of the worst, if not the worst, AEW championship reign of all time. Hangman's reign was not any better. Samoa Joe was a transitional champion because AEW backed themselves into a corner because they had nobody at the top that was good enough to battle MJF. They started throwing fucking bums at him. Or Hangman, rather. They started throwing bums at him. They threw Kyle Fletcher at him. They threw Lee Moriarty at him. I mean, they didn't know where to go. So in comes Samoa Joe. They take the ops. They turn them heel. Joe's a heel champion. We get 2 matches out of it. MJF comes back. He wins the championship and brings some sense of normalcy to the AEW World Championship title picture. It's what happens when you back yourself into a corner. They had no plan coming out of last year's All In. It was supposed to be Darby. Don't let anybody fool you. It was supposed to be Darby and Mox at All In. And Darby was the one who was going to take down the Death Riders and become the AEW World Champion. They couldn't do that. So they went with Hangman. In Arlington, the Cowboy in Texas. We all know this. If anybody tells you different, they're lying. It was supposed to be Darby. It was tailor-made for Darby. He opted to climb Mount Everest. It's not anybody's problem but his and Tony Khan's. Fast forward to tonight. MJF beats Kenny Omega. And now we're looking at potentially Darby Allin and MJF for the AEW World Championship on Wednesday. I'm letting everybody know this right now. If MJF loses the World Championship because they're in Everett, Washington, and because Darby Allin won the right, and it's in Everett, Washington, and it's a feel-good moment. And here's another fun tidbit for you. It's Wednesday, WrestleMania week. If Darby Allin beats MJF for the AEW World Championship, and you make this decision solely because you want to take momentum away from WWE going into WrestleMania weekend. You're an absolute fucking idiot. And I mean that wholeheartedly. If Tony Khan sits there and says, yes, this is the decision that I'm going with, he is going to jeopardize the momentum of AEW. I don't know how anybody, including their own fan base, watching the show would deem Darby Allin for the AEW World Championship. That ship has sailed and has not come back. It's over. What do you expect to accomplish? Do you expect to accomplish stealing some momentum away from WWE during the biggest time of their year? It's the most important wrestling show of the entire year, no matter what. WrestleMania. Darby Allin winning the championship on Wednesday does nothing. It's talked about for 15 minutes, and then we're all complaining about Pat fucking McAfee on Friday. What do you expect to accomplish? MJF has given you his fucking blood for this title run, and will do business when he needs to do business. Wednesday in Everett, Washington is not the time to do business. You do nothing by giving the title to Darby. For what? For him to hold the title for 4 weeks so MJF could win it back in Queens at Double or Nothing? Why don't you build me a fucking story first and make me feel compelled to even see Darby Allin in the fucking title match at Double or Nothing? Why don't we start there? He opted to climb a fucking mountain. Not my fucking problem, he's ice cold. He wanted to climb a mountain. He wanted to freeze his balls off climbing Mount Everest. Now it's cost him a character and a chase for the world championship that is just as cold as the temperatures that he braced climbing Mount Everest. It's over. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has a desire to see a fucking crash test dummy in Darby Allin challenge or win the AEW World Championship. That's your job, to make him into a credible championship contender, which you have not done at all. This guy comes out of All In, helps Hangman win the world championship from the Death Riders, and then he's embroiled in a fucking feud with the Death Riders, which he ultimately doesn't win, because Jon Moxley is just as strong now as he was last July. And seemingly the Death Riders are still running the fucking show. So what exactly did all of that accomplish last year? For him to get a win over Pac, because he could feel good. He's got to beat Pac, of all fucking guys. Yet Jon Moxley is just as strong as he was in July. Then he goes into a feud, and he's teaming with a bunch of his buddies, Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong, and they're battling some New Japan Pro Wrestling castaways that nobody gives a fuck about. David Finlay and Clark Connors, who AEW has done no justice at all because we don't know what the fuck they're doing here or who the fuck they are. Gabe Kidd, who's a mercenary for the Death Riders, but now all of a sudden doesn't work with the Death Riders because he's got his New Japan buddies, and now they go by the Dogs. Bro, you did more harm to Darby Allin than anybody could ever do harm to Darby Allin by throwing him into a feud with the fucking War Dogs that lasted 3 months. And it went nowhere. Does anybody remember the casket match that him and Gabe Kidd had on Dynamite a couple weeks ago? Bro, I felt so uncomfortable by the sheer silence of the crowd because nobody gave a fuck. You want me to take that guy? You want me to believe in that Darby Allin as the guy that should be the world champion? Yes, let me fuck up MJF's monumental reign because we want to steal some viewers away from WWE. Motherfucker, WWE is already ruining their momentum on their own. What exactly do you think you're going to accomplish by giving the title to Darby Allin? Now, they could very well not give the title to Darby Allin, and everything that I've just said is a waste of my fucking breath. But this is the shit that I'm hearing from people who know. Don't. You're not stealing anything away from WWE. It's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania. You do something, they'll do something triple as big on Friday. All of that will be washed away. They're ruining their own momentum. And no matter what you think about WWE and how bad this Pat McAfee shit is, Pat McAfee has fucking ruined Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in the Night 1 WrestleMania main event. But no matter how bad and how terrible Pat McAfee and the storyline is and how embarrassing it is for WWE, it's WCW 2000 level bad. No matter how bad it is, people are going to be talking about that in all of its fucking terrible. More so than they will be talking about Darby Allin. So it doesn't matter. Pat McAfee could go out there for a third straight week and fucking embarrass himself and the company even worse in the first 2 weeks. And people are going to be talking about how bad that is more so than anything Darby Allin does on Wednesday. Plus, I don't know. You know, it may be bad, but it's still Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes in the Night 1 main event. And then Night 2, you got CM Punk and Roman Reigns. What exactly are you trying to take away? You have two monumental main events, no matter how awful one is over the other. For MJF to win over Kenny, lose to Darby, and then win it back at Double or Nothing, to do what? At that point, it'll be June. Then we go into the Forbidden Door. Then we go into July, and then it'll be August. He's going to be waiting around because all the top guys are going to be in the Owen. What exactly are you going to do with a third MJF title reign for MJF? Have him lose to Darby on Wednesday. Have him win it back at Double or Nothing in New York because he's from Long Island. That's the narrative that they're running. And then go into what? Forbidden Door to defend it against some New Japan nobody. Now, granted, the last couple of years, they've actually lessened the Forbidden Door and done more AEW matches, especially in a World Championship match. Maybe he wrestles Swerve. But it doesn't really do anything for him if he loses the championship only to win it back and then drop it to Will Ospreay. Don't you think you weaken MJF by doing that? Why do we need him to lose at all? You have one goal in mind here, and it should be the only goal. Will Ospreay, London, Wembley, MJF at full strength. Ospreay wins. He's the new champion. I don't know why we're talking about Darby Allin. It's over. He was supposed to win it last year. Now you're trying to convince me, and no matter what you do, you're not, that he's a world champion this year with no story. We go from ending the Death Riders and ending the Death Riders at the biggest show of the year and winning the championship and freeing the championship to this year, I'm done climbing Mount Everest. I need the championship because I need it to breathe and be a champion. Or whatever his fucking excuse is. A man who once said that he doesn't need any championships to feel fulfilled. Now all of a sudden he needs a championship to feel fulfilled. And you're going to tell me that in what, a string of 3 weeks? Bro, that's a surefire way to not get anybody to give a shit. So yes, this is a terrible idea, and what I'm hearing is a fucking terrible idea. I don't know why anything just can't be simple. Hot potatoing the AEW Championship only to put it back on the guy who shouldn't be fucking losing to begin with is not a good strategy. Especially if you're this close. You're at the 50 fucking yard line. We went from World's End, MJF, better television, a world championship title picture that is unlike anything we've seen in 7 years, to put the belt on Darby fucking Allin. I don't give a shit if it's 4 weeks or 4 months. That is not good business. It's not. And I don't give a fuck who this decision's coming from. If MJF's the one who came up with the idea, because we all know he's got a lot of say in what he does and what he doesn't do, if it's coming from MJF, it's dog shit. I don't care. I don't even know why he would agree to do something like that. Why are you... Listen, I get that you want to help others and get out and get people to where you feel they need to be. This isn't one of those times. He already tried that. And we're right back to him being the champion. He never should have lost the fucking title. The only reason why he lost the championship is because he was fucking hurt. And he disappeared for 6 fucking months. We're trying with somebody that opted that climbing a mountain was more important to him. You live and die by the decisions that you make. It's not my fucking problem. Awful idea. Just an awful idea. That's my rant. It's probably the only time I'm really going to get animated tonight. The rest of the show was just there. Great main event. Great tag team match to open the show. Darby and Andrade was really fun. Outside that chat, I don't really know what else there is to really get animated about. The build from the last 3 weeks coming out of the last pay-per-view wasn't good. It wasn't good. That Wednesday following Revolution was fucking terrible. And the last 3 weeks have been fucking terrible. 4 out of the last 5 weeks on Wednesday, building towards this show, were genuinely boring. Going into Wednesday's show, we only had 5 or 6 matches for Dynamite or for Dynasty lined up, coming out of Dynamite. By the time we wrapped up, there was like 13 fucking matches on this show. It's not what I really call a good build. We're going to go over it today or this morning. Yes, we're going to talk about Jericho. So much happened on this show, I didn't even mention Chris Jericho. We're going to talk about Chris Jericho. He went one-on-one with Ricochet. Also a very good match against something that was built in the span of 4 days with no rhyme or reason. This is your AEW Dynasty post show. It is your Monday morning, April 13th, 2026. Thank you guys for a great week, man. Monday, we did 50,000 views on the Raw post show. Tuesday Night Titans, 52,000 views. Friday SmackDown, 50,000 views. Last week's Friday SmackDown, 73,000 views. Oh, but JD is... he's a negativity merchant. No. Everybody comes here because they know I'm going to give them the God's honest truth. And the shows suck. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. When the shows suck, people want to watch. When the shows are good and I got a lot of positivity to express, people still want to watch. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Thank you guys for a great week. You guys have crushed it for April, and we're not even in the most busiest part of the month yet. It's crazy. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Go and check out all the great content like I mentioned. We got a busy week coming up. Monday, I'll be live for Monday Night Raw. Supposed to be a big show. It's the go-home show for WrestleMania. Tuesday, busy day. Tuesday morning with the coach on the 2 count. And then Tuesday night, Jason and I will go over Dynasty and then give you your WrestleMania predictions on Tuesday Night Titans. And then Wednesday morning, I'm flying out to Las Vegas. I'll be out there Wednesday. Coffee and whiskey will be the adventure on Wednesday. I need to know what the best coffee in Las Vegas is. I got a spot already on the itinerary, but anymore, I'm open to recommendations. Like really great craft coffee, not this bullshit Dunkin' or Starbucks. Now, I want the bougie shit, okay? House of Glory on Thursday, 11 p.m., Triller TV Plus. You can hear me and Solomonster on the call. Should be a great show. Probably one of the most stacked shows that House of Glory has put together. Can't wait. Friday, I'm home for SmackDown, and then WrestleMania, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to crush it. Hit that thumbs up. Strive for 800 likes on the Dynasty post. Super chats are open. I don't really ask. I ask once per show. If you guys want to get in the super chats, it's a great way to support. It's already 1:30. The fact that I'm even up doing this review, I would really appreciate the support. Show your appreciation and support via the super chats. We got some new merchandise coming. My guy Sal Rex. If you guys remember, and shout out to Sal Rex, man. I love Sal Rex. Sal Rex is always keeping me up to date on literally everything. Without Sal Rex, half the time I'm fucking lost. Do you guys remember the JD Elite shirt? Or JD's Elite shirt that we did? We did mega business with that one. That was his design. Bro, he came up with one that blows that one out of the water. A new version for 2026. It's going on sale this week. We got some new merch, and then we got an exclusive drop coming in the next couple of weeks for Tuesday Night Titans. So, t-shirts, brand new merch for the spring and summer months, man, coming up. So thank you guys very much for all that. And tonight we're sponsored by Blue Chew Gold, BlueChew.com. Make sure you guys use that promo code JD at checkout. Dynasty. We're going to run through some of these pretty quickly because a lot of it, again, like I said, really didn't matter. Start with the 0 hour pre-show. Marina Shafir defeated Alex Windsor in about 9 minutes. I'm shocked. Ladies and gentlemen, I can now officially report that Camille, yes, Camille is back on AEW television. She wrestled on the 0 hour pre-show. She went one-on-one with someone named Big Ann. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Basically a squash, torture rack into a slam by Camille. She's alive. Did I say Marina Shafir won? Alex Windsor, not like it matters. Alex Windsor beats Marina Shafir. Camille is back. Yes. No longer can we say who. She's back. Willow Nightingale came out afterwards, pushing past officials, trying to stop Camille after she won her return match. Commentators noted that her shoulder is injured, Willow. Apparently, Camille attacked Willow earlier in the 0 hour pre-show, making her monumental return to AEW television, taking out the TBS champion. So after Camille's match, Willow wanted some revenge, and Willow was laid out by Camille. What do you think Tony Khan did for Wednesday's Dynamite, chat? Tony Khan signed a match for Willow to defend the TBS championship against Camille. Camille hasn't been seen on television for all of 2025. I think the last time we saw Camille was November of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe even longer than that. And she finally reemerges in April of 2026 and is already getting a TBS championship match. Now, you're probably wondering why. There's no point in struggling to figure out why the TBS championship is fucking useless. It is absolutely irrelevant. It's worthless. I mean, if Camille can come back after almost 2 years being away and automatically get a championship match for the TBS championship, the title's fucking worthless. Let's be real. Oh, but it's an open challenge. No, open challenges are done to death. There's nothing unique about them or refreshing about them or new about them. Everybody does them. It's not a fucking open challenge that I want to see. I would rather her be back on television and be built up for something like that, for something to happen at Double or Nothing. Because Willow's going to need opponents. But she's getting a championship match on Wednesday. Now, you're probably wondering why Camille's back, chat. Well, American Gladiators debuts this week. The new American Gladiators that stars Camille, Wardlow, and my guy Rick Boogs. This premieres, hosted by The Miz, this week. Now, I doubt that I know Willow mentioned something about her being an American Gladiator. I don't know if they're going to outright promote the show. They may say something in passing on commentary, but they're not going to throw up like a trailer for it on Dynamite. They'll mention it in passing. Oh, Camille's a part of American Gladiators. Go out and watch our AEW superstars, Camille and Wardlow, compete in American Gladiators. Bro, Camille is going to lose to Willow. Camille is going to be on TV for 2 or 3 weeks and then probably get banished to Ring of Honor. Or worse yet, maybe she's just taken off TV completely and brought back simply to promote the show. And that's it. Nobody should really expect Camille to have any more of a role outside of what we saw from her and her return tonight. But it was nice to see her. Nice to see her. Maybe Tony Khan is getting the memo where Carlos Silva is pulling talent from doing anything indie related or working with any other promotion because of bullshit fucking reasons. Partner conflicts, says Mr. Silva. Yeah, fuck off with that. Maybe Tony's trying to be a good boss. Maybe he's trying to right those wrongs. He brought back Sheeta. Now he's bringing back Camille. Maybe there is hope for Britt Baker. Maybe. Oh, man. No, man. Britt's buried. You know, I just watched Expedition Files. I love Josh Gates, man. Expedition Files is, I think, his best show. If anybody knows what I'm talking about. I love Josh Gates, man. He's fucking great. I watched an Expedition Files yesterday, and one of the stories that he was telling was the murder of Jimmy Hoffa. Now, nobody knows what happened to Jimmy Hoffa. He went to a diner, and then one night he's just gone missing, and nobody ever sees him again. He got taken out by the mob. But a lot of people are wondering, how was he murdered? Some of the speculation and some of the conspiracy theories was that the mob buried him under the construction of Giant Stadium before it actually was constructed. So I'm here to tell you that Britt Baker is legitimately buried under Guantanamo Bay. She will never be back on AEW television again. You may think that she is the star that she once was, and that her star can still shine bright in AEW. She won't be back, chat. She won't be back. But Camille is back. Jack Perry defended the the international championship. Oh, it's the national title. Which is it? The national title, the international title? Aren't they the same thing? It is the same thing. Oh, you mean to tell me that it was just created for Ricochet to boost his inflated ego? Oh, fantastic. He's also a loser. Jack Perry defended the national title against Mark Davis. He beats Mark Davis. Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. They defended the AEW Tag Team titles against Maya World and Hyon. I like Megan Bayne and Lena Cross. I think they're a great fucking tag team. It sucks that AEW doesn't know how to properly book the women's tag team division. We all know where this is going. It's going to be the Brawling Birds versus the Divine Dominion in Wembley. And the hometown gals are going to win the tag team titles. We all see it. But right now, Megan Bayne and Lena Cross look dominant. Who? Hyon, chat. Hyon. I may just got myself demonetized just by doing that. Hyon and Maya World. I got to give a round of applause. Round of applause. AEW did not do the cringy open to a pay-per-view where the pre-show match bleeds into the main show and fireworks go off with the last pre-show match starting the actual show. And somehow they still found time to drag this show on to close to 12:30. It's amazing. Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada challenged the Young Bucks. This was a very good match. It went 21 minutes. I'm going to say something that may anger some people. I don't really give a shit because this is my show. And if you want your own show, start your own show and buy your own Shure SM7B and your own audio interface and create your channel and start your own fucking podcast. You may dislike the Young Bucks. Hell, I don't even like the Young Bucks. I don't. I think they're fucking boring. The Young Bucks of 7 years ago were not boring. The Young Bucks of 2026, there's nothing interesting about them being the elites or what they're doing on television right now. None of it is interesting whatsoever. It feels like, honestly, being that I've watched AEW since the very first show, it honestly feels like AEW is passing them by. Genuinely. But with the current state of tag team wrestling in all of pro wrestling, I'm not even talking about AEW or just specifically WWE. In WWE, it's fucking terrible. Like, on any given week, I still struggle sometimes and then realize who they are. I still struggle sometimes to even think about who the SmackDown Tag Team Champions are. Damian Priest and R-Truth. They just beat the MFTs. The only teams on SmackDown that exist right now are teams that aren't really tag teams. You got the Wyatts, you got the MFTs, you got Priest and R-Truth. You got fucking Kit Wilson and The Miz going after the tag team championships. And then on Monday Night Raw, you got Logan Paul and Austin Theory. There's no real legit tag teams in WWE. And if there are, they're not being used, like Fraxium and the Motor City Machine Guns. At least in AEW, there are tag teams, some of which still aren't even being used. Rascals, Outrunners, Where's the Hurt Syndicate, Private Party's hurt. At least AEW has somewhat of a tag team division. With tag teams, what I'm trying to say is, you know, you got FTR, you got Edge and Christian, Cope and Christian. It's always going to be Edge to me. Bro, the Young Bucks, whether you like them or not, they are still probably, besides FTR, the most cohesive tag team in the entire industry. Like, they go out there and they are a fucking tag team. You see tag team moves, you see tag team matches the way that they're supposed to be. Whether or not you like the fucking false finishes and the big spots and the party matches, sure. But man, tag team wrestling is fucking lost on everybody. Nobody does it right. Nobody. But at least we have the Young Bucks, FTR, still out there fucking doing tag team shit. Tag team double moves. We live in a day and age where there's not even a fucking single shred of tag teams on WWE television. And like I said, if they're all, they're in fucking catering. They might not be your favorite cup of coffee. They're not for me. But appreciate what they actually do, even though it is in excess most of the time. They are legitimately one of the last true beacons of fucking tag team in the industry, where the industry seems to not give a shit about tag team wrestling. This match was really good. Really good. I don't know if it'll end up being on the best tag team match of the year list at the end of the year, but this was really good stuff. The whole story here is Takeshita and Okada. Takeshita and Okada don't like each other. There's a professional jealousy there. Now, this was supposed to be Fletcher and Okada. Instead, they put Takeshita and Okada. Fletcher's hurt. He's going to be out 7-8 months with a meniscus tear. If they succeeded and won and played the game like Pippen and Jordan did, because that's what they've been referencing, that Okada is Jordan and Takeshita is Pippen of the Dynasty Chicago Bulls. If they beat the Young Bucks and successfully team together with no problems, then Takeshita would get a match with Okada for the International Championship at Double or Nothing. That was the whole story of the match. So they worked together. They were a cohesive unit up until they were not. So Okada positioned Matt in the corner, dropped an elbow from the second rope. He starts playing with the fans, gave them the middle finger. So everybody ended up down. All four guys were down. They were slow to get up. Ref counted. Callis was on commentary. Okada slapped Takeshita. Takeshita elbowed Okada. They kept swinging at each other. Callis eventually said, "It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right." So then they started to work together. Matt Jackson comes back in. Okada almost hit Takeshita with a Rainmaker. Matt shoved Okada into Takeshita and scored a 2 count. Takeshita then gave Okada a running knee. The Bucks set up a move on Takeshita, but he ended up ducking and clotheslining both of them. He sets up for Raging Fire, which is his finish. Okada stopped it and went for a Rainmaker on Matt, but hit Takeshita with the Rainmaker instead. He did not seem to feel sorry that he hit his own tag team partner with his finish. He turned back to the Bucks, who gave him stereo super kicks, BTE trigger, and a kick out. So they were on the apron. The Bucks were on the apron. They had Okada in the Meltzer driver. Tombstone position. One of the Bucks was about to finish the move on the apron, jump off the rope, finish the Meltzer driver. Takeshita grabbed one of the Bucks' boots. He held on to Matt Jackson's boot here. He stopped the Meltzer driver from happening. He stands there for about a good 6 or 7 seconds. He lets go of the boot. He gave the win to the Young Bucks, and they completed the Meltzer driver on Okada. And that was it. 1, 2, 3. Bucks win. Takeshita did not feel sorry that he lost. He gives the finger to Okada, and that was it. Now, they got a lot of explaining to do because Takeshita really made it apparent on Wednesday. He said verbatim, I want his championship. I want Okada's championship. He wants the international title. So it looked like he was going to play the game, team with Okada, get this done, and then try and beat Okada at Double or Nothing. He went back on everything he said on Wednesday and said, you know what? Fuck it. Win the match. Now what happens to Takeshita? The only thing here is Takeshita gets kicked out of the Don Callis family. How is Takeshita going to show up on Wednesday happy with the decision that he made because he said, I want his championship. They lost. Now he gets no championship. Unless he gets kicked out of the Don Callis family and makes it a mission to get back at the Don Callis family and take the international championship from Okada. They don't really have many championships left. They lost all their gold. Kyle Fletcher is no longer the TNT champion. He vacated that. Okada's the only champion left in the Don Callis family. They lost their trios championships to Jet Speed. Jet Speed lost them to the Dogs, who lost them tonight to the Conglomeration. They have no more titles. So what are they going to do? They really need to kick this story into overdrive. They started it, moved away from it, stalled on it, stopped it, teased it again, but not too much, only to go back on it. And then he says, you know what? I don't give a shit about his international championship anymore. Just very weird storytelling. Very weird storytelling. Great match, though. I don't know how it wouldn't be. When you look at the best tag team matches in AEW history, the Young Bucks are probably in all of them. Chris Jericho. Got to shout out my guy in the crowd tonight with that big JD from NY is greater than Ricochet sign in the crowd. My guy, Scott Williamson. He posted a picture of it on Twitter. I retweeted it today saying, oh boy. I don't know if Ricochet saw it. I'm surprised that you actually got through security with it because anything with my name on it, I'm pretty sure, is probably on a blacklist somewhere. And I'm surprised they didn't take that away from you because my name was all over it. But if Ricochet seen it and pointed in your direction, giving you a middle finger, congratulations. I see no lies detected in the sign at all. This match was made on Wednesday. There's no story. There's no reason why it happened whatsoever. The only reason why it happened is because, A, Chris Jericho returned to AEW 2 weeks ago. Tony wanted him on the show. Vancouver, British Columbia, in front of a Canadian crowd. He wanted Jericho on the show. Second, Jericho is going to be heavily looked at when he gets back to the United States. I don't know if many people are still excited about him even being on television. He had a terrible run with the Learning Tree. It's going to be very interesting to see the difference in how the Canadian crowds treated him compared to what the United States crowds, when they get back to the States on Wednesday, how they're going to react to Jericho. Third, Tony Khan put him in a match with Ricochet. Jericho hasn't been in a match in almost a year, if just about a year. If there's somebody that you're going to want to be in the ring with, Ricochet is a good candidate because Ricochet is going to bounce around for you. He's going to sell for you. He's going to make you look good. And Ricochet, no matter what you think of him, he's an online troll. He's wishing an old woman MS. He's an asshole. He's a heel, but he's really a prick. Whatever. Ricochet is still a great pro wrestler. And he goes in there and gets the job done. I don't really care for him nowadays, but I'm never going to take anything away from him. He's still a fucking tremendous pro wrestler. Jericho looked fucking great tonight. He looked great. He looks in great shape for his age. He looks refreshed. He looks rejuvenated. He looks happy to be there. And the one thing that I noticed as this match went 15 minutes, you would think that Jericho, at 55 years old, would get gassed halfway through. Jericho did not look gassed whatsoever. Pulled off all his big moves, did the Chris Jericho spiel. He looked great. I thought he looked great. For a first match back, Jericho should be fucking over the moon about what he did tonight. He looked great. And the kicker is, Jericho did not win his return match, which could be a good thing for Ricochet. I don't know where they go with Ricochet, but he got the win over Jericho tonight, and this was a very good match. Jericho did business. So you can automatically tell right out of the gate, Jericho's back on AEW television. He signed a new long-term contract. He wants to be here. Whether or not he played WWE or not for a bigger payday from Tony Khan, I don't know. I'm hearing that WWE never even offered him a contract. I saw Nick LaPiccolo on social media today kind of insinuate that WWE really never offered anybody a contract, because I saw some people thinking the same thing that I was thinking. I didn't really put it out there publicly, but I'll tell you guys tonight. If Jericho is this good still at 55 and looks this good and performed as good as he did tonight, I would have loved to see him in WWE. No reason why he couldn't be able to perform like this in WWE. But then Nick LaPiccolo on social media said, well, you'd have to be offered a contract to perform this way in WWE. And I said this on Tuesday Night Titans. And I said this on Jesse's, or on Wednesday with Jesse, with the Dynamite Post Show, when Jesse and I were talking about Jericho. WWE's going younger. They need to focus on their future. They need to focus on their youth. Bringing another aging 55-year-old Chris Jericho who's on the last year or two of his career, it's not really a good look if WWE should be pushing the fucking Blake Monroes and the Obafemis and the Braun Breakers and the Javon Evans of the world. Yeah, let's bring in Chris Jericho. Sure, it would have been great to see him perform like this with some guys that he hasn't worked with, or maybe a feud with CM Punk or something like that, but he did great here. He did great. So the match went 14 minutes. Jericho, he fires back at Ricochet with some stiff chops. Ricochet starts making a comeback. He kicked Jericho in the face with a super kick. Big suplex. He then lands a sit-out powerbomb. He goes for recovery, gets a 2 count. Jericho was very over. He was more over tonight than he was in the last 2 appearances he's made. So Ricochet starts biting Jericho's nose. Leapt off the top rope. Shooting star press. Jericho caught him with a backstabber. It looked fucking great. Excellent timed spot. Right after that, he applied the walls of Jericho, middle of the ring. Ricochet pushes up, drop back down. Bishop Khan distracted the referee. Toa Leona, who's a part of the Demand, they were all out there. It was a 3-on-1 situation. Leona pulled Ricochet to the ropes and saved Ricochet from the walls of Jericho. Jericho dropkicked Ricochet off the apron into Toa Leona at ringside. He then leapt off the top rope with a big crossbody dive onto all members of the Demand. Toa Leona then charged into Jericho at ringside and threw him into the ring. Ricochet distracted the ref. He went for a shooting star press. Goes for a cover. Jericho kicked out. He then sets up for the spirit gun. He nails it. Bishop Khan told Ricochet, don't pin him yet. Give him insult to injury. Ricochet actually completed Jericho's lion salt and covered him off of Jericho's own move. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Ricochet beats Chris Jericho, returning Chris Jericho. This was Jericho's first match in just about a year being away from AEW. I thought it was very good. For a return match, You could not ask for a better performance at this stage of his career from Chris Jericho. Andrade. He went one-on-one with Darby Allin. This went 17 minutes. Another thing that AEW really needs to do is not everything needs to go 17 minutes, 21 minutes, 25 minutes. The Jericho Ricochet match went 14 minutes. Like, that's good. Not everything needs to go fucking 20 plus minutes. This was a very good match. I think Andrade is fantastic. He's one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet. Story about this one was Darby wants the world championship. He's already made a challenge to whoever wins, MJF or Kenny. I want the winner. I want the next one. Andrade also wants MJF because he's never gotten a one-on-one match with MJF for the world championship. And Don Callis seemingly is using Andrade and using him to do business with MJF. MJF offered Don Callis a briefcase full of money for Andrade to take out Darby. Now, he didn't offer Andrade the money per se. He offered the Don Callis family the money, and Don Callis chose Andrade to be the one to take out Darby, which is how we got here tonight. So they went 17 minutes. And the matches that we've seen from Darby as of late, man, crash test dummies. He's nothing more than a crash test dummy. He's beat up, he bleeds, he takes a big bump here, a big bump there. He took some big bumps in this match, but he actually wrestled more in this match than he did in the previous 5 or 6 matches I've seen him in. He looked good here. When Darby actually wrestles and isn't a fucking crash test dummy and a stuntman, yes, let me make the stuntman the world champion. Now, we're not going for the Mick Foley beating The Rock, okay? Give me a break. When Darby's less of a stuntman and an actual pro wrestler, he's good. And I don't know how anybody can't be good if you're in there with Andrade. Andrade suplexed Darby into the corner turnbuckle. Darby avoided Andrade's Meteora. So both were down off that spot. Darby slammed Andrade back down to the mat off the top rope, and then he applied an STF. Andrade dragged his leg over the bottom rope to force a submission break. Darby dove at Andrade at ringside. And my God, man, you know, we just had Peter Rosenberg talking about less suicide dives. They don't mean anything because we see everybody do them. Darby shooting himself out of a fucking cannon through the bottom rope and almost misses Andrade completely as he goes crashing into the announce desk on the outside. Darby harmed himself more on the suicide dive than he did Andrade. So what's the point of the suicide dive? I'm not a pro wrestler. Nor do I want to get into the mind of said pro wrestler. He leaps off the top rope back in the ring, drop kicked Andrade off of a folding chair right back to the outside. We got a take your pants off chant from the crowd to Andrade. He removes his pants and reveals his golden wrestling trunks. There were no ladies of the night in the front row. Andrade is in control. He went for his top rope moonsault. Darby moved. Andrade then backflipped in his signature spot where he misses the one off the top rope, but then does the standing one in the ring. He got a 2 count. Darby caught Andrade with a scorpion death drop, coffin drop for 2. Darby went for code red. Andrade blocked it, landed his spinning back elbow, which always looks fucking great. He goes for cover. He gets a 2 count. Andrade acted surprised because he thought that was it. Darby all of a sudden gets a flash victory with the Last Supper pinfall. So he wins clean. He beats Andrade. He's now the de facto #1 contender for the AEW World title. Afterwards, Andrade, he lost and shook Darby's hand. I wonder if that means Andrade is also set to be removed from the Don Callis family. So we had Takeshita and Andrade do things that should not make the Don Callis family very happy. We'll see what happens. AEW Tag Team title match. FTR defends against Cope and Christian. So we got Copeland coming out first. Everybody sings Metalingus by Alter Bridge. It pains me when I hear these crowds in AEW sing Metalingus and none of them know the fucking lyrics. They wanted to stop halfway through the fucking song. Bro, if you're not going to sing the song with all of your chest, then don't sing the fucking song. Seriously. Or if you don't know the lyrics, go and listen to the lyrics. The song is 21 years old. Christian comes out, FTR comes out. This match and the story surrounding it took a 8-month hiatus. The last time these two teams wrestled was back at All Out. When All Out happened last year, they pile drove Beth Phoenix. And that was the way that Adam Copeland walked out of AEW. And Christian Cage walked out of AEW. Not one mention. Not one iota of a mention about what they did. FTR went on to go do what they had to do. The Young Bucks emerged as the top team challenging FTR. No real excitement surrounding the AEW Tag Team titles. Now that Cope and Christian are back, now AEW and all these guys involved are expecting us to actually care. You didn't really do anything to heat it up. You didn't really do anything to push me to actually give a shit. We didn't see Beth Phoenix. We didn't hear about Beth Phoenix. We didn't hear a medical update. We didn't really get anything from anybody here. Adam Copeland's back. Christian Cage is back. They want FTR. They want the tag team titles. Okay. Gonna need to do a little bit more than that. This was good. It wasn't my favorite tag team match of the year, but it was good. I was actually surprised by the outcome. I fully expected Cope and Christian to win the tag team championships, and they did not. So we'll pick it up at the end here because this is really the best part of the match when things really broke down. Cash ended up Irish whipping Cope with the title belt with the ref's back turned. So he nailed him with the championship belt. Copeland, he kicks out at a 2 after a cover and he comes up bleeding. Surprisingly, the only blood we seen on this show was from Adam Copeland. Jon Moxley was bleeding a little bit from the mouth during his match with Will Ospreay. But as far as like Crimson Mask, the only one that bled was Adam Copeland. Maybe Tony Khan and company weren't feeling the fetish of blood tonight. So he comes up bleeding. FTR set up for a shatter machine on Christian. Copeland broke it up. Copeland and Christian then gave Dax a shatter machine for a near fall. Dax and Cash came back and landed a shatter machine on Copeland. Stokely broke it up. He was very late. That was a very sloppy interference. He almost missed it. Stokely got mad at the ref. The referee shoved him down to the floor. Copeland then scored a near fall on Dax, which was broken up by Cash. Cash then gave Copeland a pile driver. Referee checked on Copeland's bleeding. Cash threw Christian over the timekeeper's table near Justin Roberts. Dax and Cash then double-teamed Copeland in the ring, fought back and speared Dax and Cash. All three were down. Stokely's panicking at ringside. Dax and Cash ended up giving Copeland their shatter machine for the 1, 2, 3. Christian was taken out completely. So they left Cope 2-on-1. There was a miscommunication by Stokely, who FTR thought he purposely did something by accident, but it was from Cope and Christian getting him involved. There was a situation where they used Stokely to break up a pinfall, and FTR thought that he came in and broke it up on his own. I don't know what that was all about, but it ended up going the right way for FTR. Dax and Cash win. They retain their tag team titles, and they beat Cope and Christian. Now, there was some fuckery here. There was some shenanigans. They obviously cheated and used the championship belt. Stokely got involved pretty heavily here. So this is not over. This is not over by a long shot, but they lost. The Young Bucks beat Okada and Takeshita. We actually may be looking at a tag team title triple threat match at Double or Nothing. Because Cope and Christian got fucked. FTR steals another victory, retains the tag team championships, and the Young Bucks got back into the win column. You mix all this together with the Bucks winning, Cope and Christian getting fucked over via shenanigans of FTR, and FTR walking away with an unclean win. Sounds like a multi-team match to me at Double or Nothing in New York. I figured they'd save it for Wembley, but how can we take what they're doing now and drag it all the way till the end of August? Just do it now. And figure out what you got to do for Wembley by the time we get to Wembley. I feel like we may be getting a triple threat ladder match for the AEW Tag Team Championships at Double or Nothing in Queens. I could absolutely see them doing that. FTR win, surprised by it. I thought Cope and Christian win, but they retain the Tag Team Championships. They beat Cope and Christian and move on to the next. Casino Gauntlet. I am done with the Casino Gauntlets. They don't feel special anymore. I don't feel any sort of excitement when I see one announced or watch one take place. And then they don't really do anything to surprise you with a return or someone new. Like, bro, you should use this one time a year and use it to your advantage for a return or a big signing or a surprise. When you do these matches every 3 or 4 months, they lose their appeal. I don't want to see a multi-man match, a mini Royal Rumble per se, where you can't even get the fucking countdown timer right. And then when the buzzer goes off, Wheeler Yuta comes out dressed worse than someone in the WWE 2K Creator Suite. I don't understand why we need a gauntlet match for a vacated championship. There are other ways to get it done. Did we need the TNT Championship to take place on this show? Did we need to crown a new champion tonight when there's 1,000 other fucking matches on this show? And then the whole field of fucking Gauntlet, nobody was really in there outside of 1 or 2 guys that realistically could win. So what's the point? The Gauntlet matches should be absolutely saved one time a year for Allin. And they should be used to crown a number 1 contender or a briefcase of sorts for the AEW World Championship. When you use a gauntlet match for the AEW World Championship at last year's All-In, and then you proceed to do a tag team gauntlet match and a women's gauntlet match and a gauntlet match for the vacant TNT title, bro, they don't mean anything. They don't. It only shows your lack of creativity. Now, what they could have done, you got 4 weeks till Double or Nothing. Do some qualifying matches. The next 4 weeks on Dynamite. Have one match 1 week, another match the next week, another match the next week, and another match the next week. Take all 4 winners and put them in a fatal 4-way match at Double or Nothing and the winner wins the vacated TNT Championship. Why does everything need to be a gauntlet match? Why does everything need to be a tournament? There are other ways to do it. Or if you want, take a page out of Triple H's book. Do a string of triple threat matches. He loves his triple threat matches. 1 week a triple threat match. The winner gets added to the pay-per-view at Double or Nothing. Have 4 consecutive triple threat matches with the winner of each triple threat match getting placed in a fatal 4-way. If you want to give more people more opportunity, bro, there are ways to do things differently. Instead of giving us the gauntlet match, which you've ruined. Nobody wants to see fucking Anthony Bowens and Wheeler Yuta and Danny Garcia and half the fucking Death Riders in a gauntlet match. Stop it. You get a gauntlet. You get a gauntlet. Everybody gets a gauntlet. Yes, exactly what I want to see. A gauntlet match with El Clone. El Clone, Speedball, Roosh, Tommaso Ciampa, Bandito, Speedball, Anthony Bowens, Pac, Kevin Knight. Am I missing anybody? Kevin Knight wins. This match went 23 minutes. Bro, we had the opening match go 21 minutes. We had Darby and Andrade almost go 20 minutes. We had Jericho and Ricochet go 14 minutes. And then we had this match go 23 minutes. Why do we need everything to go 23 minutes? 20 minutes. Bandito is great. I love Bandito. Bandito's the Ring of Honor champion. Ciampa and Roosh started this thing. They really had a nice back and forth. Ciampa's never going to win that title back, chat. He won it for the first 3 weeks of his AEW run, and then they never decided to give it back to him. Of all the guys, Kyle Fletcher won the championship because they went to Brisbane, Australia. They crowned him there. They gave him a pink title. Never should have took the title off Ciampa, honestly. You wouldn't be in this situation if you didn't give the title back to Kyle Fletcher, who, I don't know if you guys know, didn't need the championship because he's already talking about the world championship, but you gave him the TNT title. There was realistically nobody here outside of Ciampa and Kevin Knight who were going to win this match. So Kevin Knight climbed the top rope. Ciampa met him out there. He suplexed Kevin Knight off the top rope onto everybody outside. Pac. He escaped the pack of everybody outside. He threw Speedball into the ring. He landed the Black Arrow. Ciampa broke up the cover. Garcia comes in, applies a sharpshooter middle of the ring on Speedball. He locks it in, sinks it in. Kevin Knight splashed Garcia with the UFO splash to break it up and scored the pin and the 3 count on Danny Garcia. He steals the TNT title away from Speedball Mike Bailey as he pinned Garcia, who had the submission on his partner. Kevin Knight wins the TNT title and his first singles title in AEW. I guess it pays to be a favorite of Tony Khan's, huh? Does this do anything to Speedball and Kevin Knight's tag team now? Maybe Kevin Knight joins the Hurt Syndicate. Maybe he goes to the dark side. Maybe they convince him, hey, dump this fucking Karate Kid wannabe and join us. We'll see what happens there because they've already alluded to it on commentary. What is this going to mean for the tag team of Speedball and Kevin Knight? We'll see what happens. End the gauntlet matches and keep them to All In only. I'll say that and we'll get one 6 weeks from now. And then again at All In. Thekla. Thekla, Jesse. Thekla. 17 minutes with Jamie Hayter. Bro, this match was not bad at all. In fact, I enjoyed this more than the Thekla Statlander match at Revolution. The problem is, chat, is that there's no fucking story. There's no story. Why am I going to care? They literally announced this for reasons, none of which I can figure out. There was a 6-woman tag team match, and Jamie Hayter wasn't even the one to score the pinfall on Thekla. Thekla moved out of the way. She escaped the ring, and Jamie Hayter pinned one of the Sisters of Sin. I don't remember who, because it really doesn't even fucking matter, because it wasn't Thekla. Yet here we are. She gets a championship opportunity as part of a tag team against Thekla. 17 minutes. Thekla wins and retains the AEW Women's World Championship. The best part about this match is that after the match was over, Jamie Hayter started throwing F-bombs that were very, very loudly picked up on the nearby ringside cameras. She said something, you motherfucker, to Thekla. I'm going to fucking kill you, she said. God, I love Jamie Hayter. Hayter caught Thekla with a backbreaker after Thekla spent time laying on the mat. Thekla avoided a Haterade, then bridged Hayter's shoulders down and holding on to the middle rope for extra leverage behind the referee's back. Alex Windsor ran out to try and protest to the referee. He didn't give a shit, as did everybody else in the fucking crowd who didn't give a shit, because this was contested in front of dead silence. Gee, I wonder why, when there's no fucking real substantial story to tell here. We're all waiting for Mercedes to come back and beat Thekla. If you don't think Mercedes is coming back to win the Owen for a second year in a row and then win the championship at All In at Wembley, you got another thing fucking coming, man. You're completely out to lunch. Mercedes is coming back and she's going to be your new women's world champion. That is what is going to happen. She didn't lose all those championships to come back and not win the AEW women's world title. And with Toni Storm out, who are you going to have run the division? Tekla's great. Nobody seems to give a shit. Statlander's great. Where's she going? Camille's back. For how long? Willow is defending a TBS championship and giving everybody some fucking championship matches. Nobody gives a shit. Megan Bain is in a fucking tag team. Jamie Hayter's another loser. Alex Windsor, who gives a shit? The Sisters of Sin, who gives a shit? She needed the money. Oh, who gives a shit? Seriously. When you could find me one woman worthy of being the fucking champion and take the belt off Thekla, find a woman for me worthy of a fucking story where I can actually give a fuck. Where is she? Everybody wants to claim that they got a great women's division. Where the fuck is it? Sky Blue, she needed the money. Oh. Love me some dice. Will Ospreay. He went one-on-one with Jon Moxley. This was indeed for the Continental Championship. Not like Ospreay needs the fucking Continental Championship because he's not back for the Continental Championship. He's back for the world title. Bro. Moxley's back in tip-top shape. He's more powerful now than he was going into All In last year. The Continental Championship is the second most important title in the company because Jon Moxley's out here defending it against fucking anyone and everyone. He's in matches with some of the biggest names. Okada, Fletcher, fucking Osprey, Takeshita. It's basically the second most important title in the fucking company. Osprey's back. And it makes sense that he's coming back for the Death Riders. I appreciate some consistency. They took him out at Forbidden Door last year in that fucking steel cage match that they did. Pillmanized his neck. He's been out. Neck fusion surgery. He came back a couple of weeks ago at Revolution. And now he wants Jon Moxley and he wants his revenge. He can't get revenge if it's 1 against fucking 7. So he brings over from New Japan the United Empire. Tony Khan asks me to give a shit about the United Empire when I don't know who the fuck any of the United Empire are. Here you got Callum Newman. Apparently he's the New Japan World Champion. Fuck do I know? Who the fuck is he? Then you got these other guys I never fucking heard of, and all of a sudden I'm supposed to care about them because they look like the fucking... They look like James Bond's apprentices. They're out there wearing black suits, white dress shirts, and black ties like they're going to a black tie affair. Who the fuck are they? Who are they? They put these guys in the main event on Dynamite. I don't know who the fuck any of them are, and I'm supposed to fucking care. Fantastic. Ospreay's got his boys backing him up. Here we go. Now all of a sudden I care. No. I was genuinely worried that this match was gonna go longer than 20 minutes. I thought that the Continental rules on pay-per-view were a 60-minute time limit. Thank God they kept this to a 20-minute time limit. Now, if you guys aren't aware, the Continental Classic, there's no interference. There's nobody allowed at ringside. Those same rules apply for every title defense of the Continental title. No one is allowed at ringside. There's no outside interference. There's no fuckery. So someone was going to win this match clean. And it shouldn't have been Will Ospreay. Could have went to 20 minutes. We didn't need a clean loss. Could have went the time limit draw, but those usually don't go well in front of the live audience. There's always some boos and some indifference when the bell rings and it's a time limit draw. Bro, this man just had fusion neck surgery. He was out for 6 months. Must have been a minor surgery because some people have fusion neck surgery. They're out for a year, year and a half, 2 years. This guy was back in 6 or 7 months. Must have been a minor surgery. Surgery nonetheless. A neck surgery is never an easy thing, always a scary one. Why does AEW continue to drop people on their fucking skulls? Is what I want to know. I would be happy to never see Will Ospreay take another pile driver ever again. Seriously. I understand that Ospreay's neck is going to be a focal point in all matches moving forward, and it's going to be a story. But when the guy is dropped on his fucking head in a pile driver on steel steps, at that point, it's too much for anybody. Knowing exactly the type of style he wrestles, the fact that he hasn't changed a fucking thing about his style, and the fact that he is still as risky as he ever was. Right back into the fucking fire, getting dropped on his head. I don't understand it. Would Dave Meltzer have omitted a star or star and a half because that pile driver on the steel steps from Jon Moxley didn't happen? Oh man, it's a 5-star match. We can't have it be a 4-star match because Dave would decrease the rating without this pile driver spot. I would be a happy guy if I never seen Will Ospreay take another pile driver ever again. Ridiculous. We'll pick it up at the 10-minute mark. This match went almost 20 minutes. Barely. Ospreay makes a comeback. Commentators are still selling his neck injuries. Moxley, it's a paradigm shift as a counter to Ospreay's attempt at the hidden blade. Ospreay landed the hidden blade out of nowhere. Both guys were down. They're slow to get up. Ospreay went after Mox in the corner. Paul Turner is yelling at Ospreay. Ospreay loses his temper. He shoves Paul Turner down. He ended up picking Paul Turner back up and apologizing, only to turn around and Moxley hits Ospreay. Clotheslined him. Turned him inside out. Ospreay and Mox battle for position. Ospreay lands a Styles Clash. He then put Moxley in his own version of the Bulldog Choke. Ospreay landed a hidden blade. He's selling his shoulder and his neck. Ospreay sets up for the Tiger Driver. His arm gives out. They fight to ringside and battle on the steel steps. Moxley then hits a spike pile driver on the steel steps. And no, this is not safe. His head bounced off the fucking steps. Doc Sampson comes over, immediately checks on Ospreay. Referee is continuing the count. Ospreay's clutching his neck. Doctor is asking him if he can still go. Ospreay rolled into the ring. He just barely beat the 10 count. Moxley continues the attack. 2 paradigm shifts. Chat. Ospreay takes a spike pile driver on the steel steps. 2 paradigm shifts. Moxley goes for a cover. And Ospreay kicks out. What are we doing? What are we doing? If Moxley was going to win this match, which he did, and you're going to sell me on a spike pile driver on the fucking steel steps, and then 2 of Moxley's finishes, why would you give Ospreay the opportunity to kick out after all that? I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. No, but it was after that Moxley delivered the Death Rider, and then he got the win. Who produces this shit? What a ridiculous fucking spot. For the sheer fact that you dropped him on his fucking head, it's ridiculous just by that and that alone. But a pile driver on the steps, 2 paradigm shifts, a kick out. Let me do 1 Death Rider and then beat him. You couldn't beat him after the fucking pile driver. Danielson's on commentary, says he knows his own experience with his neck. Can definitely backfire the way Ospreay wrestles. He suggests that Ospreay goes and gets an MRI after this match. I think everybody in the fucking creative department needs to have their fucking heads examined. Never mind Ospreay getting an MRI. Ospreay never should have won this match to begin with. He loses. It's all right, though. He's going to win the Owen. Giving the loss here means nothing. He's going to go on to win the entire Owen and get the championship match at All In and win the World Championship. A loss to Moxley does nothing. All I got to know is where he goes from here. They may be setting up blood and guts. This might not be over. Moxley gets the win here. They maybe do blood and guts with the Death Riders in the United Empire. Maybe they do some sort of multi-man match at Forbidden Door, being that Ospreay's got his New Japan guys against the Death Riders. There's multiple ways they can continue this before Ospreay firmly plants himself into the Owen Hart Memorial Cup. None of it is particularly interesting, but a loss here to Jon Moxley is not the end of the world. It actually was the right outcome. We're going to skip over this because legitimately there's not a single fucking person alive and breathing, that gives a shit about this. The Dogs, David Finlay, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd defend the Trios Championships against Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly. I forgot this was actually a part of the pay-per-view. I yelled out from my living room, why is this on the show? Who could possibly give a shit? There's a show called Dynamite. They have Spring Breakthrough on Wednesday. I don't know why this couldn't be saved for Wednesday. This would have saved us 10 minutes. 10 minutes is 10 minutes. Apparently, Gabe Kidd got hurt here. According to Mr. Sapp of Fightful Select, Gabe Kidd got hurt. Apparently, he dislocated his shoulder in the middle of this match. He was removed from the Trios title match against the Conglomeration midway through the Dogs title defense against Orange Cassidy, Roddy, and Kyle O'Reilly. Gabe Kidd was taken to the back by the AEW medical team. Those we spoke to say Fightful said that he did appear to be injured upon arriving backstage, which was then revealed to be a dislocated shoulder. He could be out. Last time we saw someone with a dislocated shoulder of that severity was Liv Morgan. She was out for 3 months, 4 months. Gabe Kidd could be out. So, Jet Speed and Mystico were the the Trios tag team champions. The Dogs beat them on Collision Saturday. I didn't watch, I just read the spoilers. That was taped on Thursday. So the Dogs walk in as the Trios champions after only holding them for a day, quote unquote, because we saw this actually happen on Saturday night. Come into Sunday night, they're already losing the Trios championships to the Conglomeration because Kyle O'Reilly returned from injury. Does anybody care? It's the most boring and most dead feud, maybe in all pro wrestling. I don't know what's worse, the Conglomeration War Dog stuff or the MFTs and the Wyatt Six. Choose your poison. Main event. MJF, Kenny Omega, AEW World Championship match. 39 minutes. Par for the course. I don't know why we need to go 39 minutes. We could have done everything in a much more concise package in about 22. But I'm not MJF, nor am I Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega comes on out. He got a special entrance. They did a long-winded entrance. He got his music playing and the visuals on the screen, which were very nice. I thought AEW did a very good job with the screens. I thought the stage setup for Dynasty looked really good. I actually do like the Dynasty logo this year. MJF came out, and he's got this devil crown on, and he's wearing an upside-down cross, and he's got 666 on his coat, and he's wearing black and red. I'm like, all right, bro. I get it. I get it. I'm not overly religious. I don't attend service on Sunday. I don't celebrate Easter or Christmas in the way the Catholics do or the church does. But you just had Tony Khan go out on Coach and Bro claiming that he's a wholesome Christian man and that he's taking the high road in certain aspects of what he does with AEW in combating WWE. Yet MJF goes out there wearing a visible upside-down cross. Like, I get it, man. You're the devil. There's nobody better than the devil, and there's nobody. There's nobody better than MJF. But I don't think we need to really kind of go over the top with the Satanism. There's enough Satanism and satanic imagery in everyday life. The people that run the fucking government are nothing but Satanists and P words. Yet I got to see this shit on television. It's fucking weird. Just weird. We should not be inviting evil or promoting evil in that manner. That's just me. That's just me. About the pro wrestling. This was a great pro wrestling match. I don't think they needed to go 39 minutes to achieve a great pro wrestling match, but I don't think AEW knows how to stop. They think the more, the better. I think the opposite. I think the less, the better. Everything that they did here, if they did this in 22, 23, 24 minutes, it would have achieved the same thing as they did tonight in 39. The bell rang at 11:38. I knew we were in for a very long night there. MJF bailed out after some early offense. Omega launched himself at MJF out at ringside. He then charged at MJF. MJF sidestepped him and threw him into a ringside chair. Omega came back with a moonsault off the ringside barricade. He then cleared the timekeeper's table. Omega takes the table and puts the table on MJF as MJF is lying on the outside. He then leapt off the apron and did a double foot stomp on the table with MJF underneath it. Now, it didn't break. It just kind of made that cracking sound. But MJF took the brunt of that offense. So the referee's like, get back in the ring. You can't win the title outside. You got to do everything in the ring. So Omega goes in the ring, rolls in, breaks the count, rolls right back outside. Omega set up another table. This time he sets it up traditionally. MJF avoided as he was laying on the table. He rolls off the table, rolls back into the ring. Omega is back in the ring with MJF. He's chopping MJF. MJF comes back, mounted Omega in the corner. He took over briefly before Omega took back over. We're back outside now. Omega dives over the top rope out to ringside. We go right back into the ring, and Omega catapulted MJF. MJF landed on his feet on the middle rope. Omega lifted MJF onto his shoulders for a one-winged angel. MJF slipped down and raked Omega's back, old school. He then bites Omega's forehead. MJF now is setting up for the tombstone pile driver off the middle rope. Omega comes back, slipped free. He then rammed MJF into the top turnbuckle. He comes back, does MJF with a big kick. Omega ducked MJF and a clothesline and landed a snapdragon. He then hits a reverse hurricanrana. Sets up for the one-winged angel. MJF countered, hits a destroyer, but Omega popped up and landed a big V-trigger knee for a 2. Both were down, and they were slow to get up. We're about halfway through. Omega hits a powerbomb on MJF. Another running knee. 2 count. Omega is now trying to gain some momentum from the crowd, feeding off the crowd. He lifted MJF onto his shoulders. He somersaulted him to the mat, went for a moonsault. MJF lifted his knees up. Omega blocked MJF's hurricanrana attempt, knocked him out to the floor. Omega's now on the outside. He leapt off the top rope with a flip onto MJF to the outside, and it was a signature Kota Ibushi spot where he paid homage to Kota Ibushi. So we go back in the ring. MJF is taking over now. He's targeting Omega's midsection. This is why I said in the beginning that they didn't sell the midsection. They didn't sell the stomach issues. They didn't sell the diverticulitis aspect until more than halfway through the match. He's yelling at Kenny, "What's wrong with you, Kenny? Does your stomach hurt?" Omega and MJF collided middle of the ring after some offense to Kenny's stomach. Omega is clutching his stomach area, selling the stomach. So they started slowing the pace down, something that they should have did earlier in the match. They started doing in at least the third quarter of the match. Omega lifted MJF up onto his shoulders for the one-winged angel. He tried it off the top, and he landed a one-winged angel off the top rope. Fans chanted, "Holy shit." Omega could not make the cover. He struggled to roll over and cover MJF. MJF was able to roll to the outside and evade Kenny's pinfall of the avalanche one-winged angel. Omega's still selling the stomach. He sat on the ring apron. He's trying to catch his breath, continuing to sell his stomach issues. We go back in the ring. Omega landed a V-trigger to the back of MJF. He scored a 2 count. Apparently, Omega continuing to try and lift MJF, struggling to lift MJF. He bends over. Omega circled MJF and lifted him up. He's got him on his shoulders. MJF, again in the one-winged angel, slips free, spiked Omega's head to the mat, and then delivers a package pile driver. He goes for a cover. He gets a 2 count. He tries to go for a move. He slaps Omega, kicks him. Omega comes back, lands 2 V-triggers, sets up for another one-winged angel. Omega got MJF again up. MJF slips free. Omega went for a quick knee. MJF pulled the referee, this time Bryce Remsburg, in Omega's path as he's colliding with the referee. He hits the referee with a V-trigger. Does Omega. So Omega hits the referee with the V-trigger. Desperate attempt by a desperate man is what they said on commentary. MJF gave Omega a low blow with the referee down. He then crawled over and went into the referee's pockets. He took out the Dynamite Diamond ring. He tried to hit Omega with the ring. The referee took it away from him in the beginning of the match. Omega ducked, hit a one-winged angel. He goes for a visible cover, and the crowd is counting to 10, but by the time another referee came out, Paul Turner finally comes on out. He's about 15 seconds too late. MJF kicks out of the one-winged angel. Omega looked down at the table that he set up at ringside earlier. Remember that table that he stomped on? The second table was set up. He lifted MJF onto his shoulders. He wanted to give him a one-winged angel through the table. MJF counters him. He punches him in the gut with the ring. MJF gives Omega a tombstone pile driver through the table. He then quickly rolls him into the ring. He delivers a quick heat seeker, and that is it. We got a lot of false finishes here, but at least when MJF delivered a fucking move, a tombstone through the table, and then his finish with the heat seeker, he absolutely put Omega away with the 2 biggest moves of the match. Omega didn't kick out. MJF retains the championship. He walks up the aisleway after some assistance from the security guard. He shoos the security guard away. He goes to sit on his throne because he's the devil. He wears his devil crown. And there was a hilarious visual of MJF just kind of sinking into the stage with everything going down. And he's doing like the devil fucking sign. And he's got his tongue waving about. And the show goes off the air with the devil retaining the AEW World Championship. In some aspects, I thought this was a better professional wrestling show than Revolution. But man, AEW really slacked on the fucking stories outside of MJF and Omega and the world title stuff and the Will Ospreay thing. I mean, there wasn't really anything substantial there. It was just kind of going back to Forbidden Door last year and kind of finishing it up this year that Ospreay's back now that he's targeting Moxley and Darby with the Don Callis family taking the money from MJF to take out Darby. Bro, the lack of stories is quite concerning. Like real, true, substantial, I actually give a shit stories. There's just way too much pro wrestling. That's never a bad thing. We barely get fucking 30 minutes of pro wrestling on a 3-hour SmackDown. Like, I understand that we watch pro wrestling for pro wrestling, but I don't know how many times I got to tell you when there's a story attached, a substantial story, a story that actually is fulfilling to a match, the match is better. These shows are way too long. Half of this shit could be saved for Dynamite. I don't understand why there's just so much pro wrestling. WWE doesn't give you enough pro wrestling. AEW gives you way too much pro wrestling. But in AEW's case, if they actually put some fucking stories into this show, these shows would be great. If they actually took an hour off the fucking show, this show would be great. If they gave you less is more, this show would be great. Instead, I'm left only caring about the World Championship, couple of good matches here, and everything else is just blah. Bro, it's something to care about pro wrestling. It's great that you love pro wrestling, but you can't talk about anything if it's just move after move, kick out after kick out, false finish after false finish, and a great pro wrestling match. You need something else. Where do they go? What comes next? They got to start building layers to this shit. I mean, The Undertaker was just recently quoted. Everyone's raving about Mark Calloway's work with AAA. They're already calling Mark Calloway Booker of the fucking year. He directly quoted Paul Heyman. That's his mentality. That is his way of booking. You start backwards. You start with the end. Where do you want to be? And then you go backwards. How do we get to where we want to be? He's got an end goal in mind already, and then you start booking backwards on how you're going to get to that end goal. Bro, how is The Undertaker, who is one of the most recognizable figures in the history of this fucking business, then, now, and forever, who's been booking a fucking Mexican promotion for the last 6 months, why does he have the idea down and AEW does not? Bro, you gotta scale back. You gotta scale back. There's just way too much. Way too much. I'd be singing a different tune if Dynasty was 3.5 hours instead of 4.5 hours. Half of this shit don't even matter, bro. Nobody's going to remember this shit by the time they wake up tomorrow. Nobody. It's just exhausting. The only one that gets true, genuine joy out of it is Tony Khan. That's it. That's it. If it was up to him, he would add another 6 matches to this fucking show and make it 7 hours long. Every pay-per-view would be a fucking Vince McMahon WrestleMania at 7 or 8 hours. It's exactly what he'd do. Less is more. They got to scale back. Thank you guys for this stream tonight. I'm going to try and get you out of here in the next 10 minutes. It's 3 o'clock. It isn't even really my bedtime yet. I usually go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. Thank you guys very much for all your support. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to support the show, super chats are open. Get them on in. We hit the goal of 800 likes. Thank you. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. I'll be live tomorrow night with the Monday Night Raw post. It's the go-home show for WrestleMania. Tonight, we are sponsored by Blue Chew. It's WrestleMania season. How you guys feel about WrestleMania season? WWE should be putting on the best show that they can. Leading up to WrestleMania, they should be giving you the best television of the entire year. It's WrestleMania season. You expect everybody to show up ready. That hasn't been the case. It should be that way inside and outside the ring. We've all had those moments, though, where maybe you're ready physically, but mentally you're overthinking everything, timing, distractions, the pressure. You're not fully locked in. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew Gold is built different. It's not about blood flow or just about blood flow. It's designed to help with arousal as well. So your mind and your body are actually on the same page. Because let's be real, getting ready and being ready are two completely different things. Blue Chew Gold combines ingredients and performance and mental connection. So you're not out there second guessing like it's your first match back in 6 months. Or in this case, like tonight, Jericho in 12 months. You're confident, you're focused, you're in control just like he was tonight. It's time for less thinking and more doing. So if you're trying to step up your game and bring that main event energy when it counts, don't let your mind get in the way of a good time. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we got a special deal for everybody listening to us right now. You can buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, and you get the third for free with promo code JD. It's promo code JD. You buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third one for free with code JD at checkout. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And I want to thank them, as always, for sponsoring the podcast right here on Off the Script. Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. JD, Jesse, OTS, how's everyone today? Let's go. Yeah. Well, clearly Jesse is not here, Michael, but hopefully you still enjoyed the stream. Joey Taylor with a $6 super chat. JD, you're going to need a lot of whiskey at the House of Glory show coming up this week, with Minnie being in attendance, being obnoxious and boring. Brother, I don't drink at the House of Glory shows, especially of that magnitude. I got to be on my A game. She's coming. I hope she enjoys the show. Joshua with a 15 months. Thank you for going live tonight. This is why you're number one. Best in the world, Matt with a $10 super chat. This is why JD's the best of the best. Here's something to ease the pain, so to speak. Appreciate all you do always, brother. Joshua and Matt, thank you guys. Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. Switch the AEW pay-per-view for Saturdays, please, TK. They should absolutely be Saturday. Nobody should have to start their Monday watching an AEW pay-per-view till 1 o'clock in the morning. Sam Vargas with a $5 super chat. I wish Bryce got an actual V-trigger. I hate his corny pin style. Guy sucks. Bro, all the referees -2 in AEW are awful. Aubrey Edwards is fucking awful. The way she was counting Jericho out, bro. Oh my God, man. It was like a fucking banshee in the Gotham Night. Oh my God. Advocate with a 14 months. What's the difference between my membership length and AEW Dynasty? The false finishes. KMG with a $50 super chat. Thank you, KMG. Once again, I survived somehow. Another long AEW pay-per-view. Darby beats MJF on Wednesday. That's booking malpractice. Much love, JD. OTS for life. KMG, thank you, brother. KMG coming in big. Based with a $9.99. Thursday will be my 22nd birthday. I guess I'll be watching HOG on my birthday. You better be watching HOG, Based. Great fucking card on Thursday. And we got Glazer Nate TV with a $5 super chat. Mr. No Days Off doing this show this late at night. Takes Bulls mad respect. There's OTS for life. Thank you, Nate. And Caden with a $1.99. Just showing appreciation at this very late hour of 3 a.m. Thank you for the $2 in super chat, Caden. And thank you guys very much, man. I'm about to get out of here. I gave you all I got. A 4.5-hour show and a 2.5-hour stream, man. I'm toast. Thank you guys for a great stream. AEW ain't hating like social media is saying, man. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a shit. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Cameo. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Go and check out all the great content on the channel. We got a big week coming up. I'll be live tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw. We'll see what happens. We got Punk, we got Obo, we got Roman, we got Brock. Who else is going to show up? It's the go-home show before WrestleMania. Tuesday, I'll be live with the coach on Tuesday morning with the 2 count. Tuesday night with the Solid Monster. Wednesday, I'll be in Vegas. Thursday, I'll be in Vegas for House of Glory. Friday, I'll be back home here covering SmackDown. I will be live Friday night. And then Saturday, we got WrestleMania. There is absolutely nowhere else you should be but off the script. Until then, guys, have a great morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll see you tomorrow night for Monday Night Raw.